Hello and welcome to my knife channel. You know, when you run into something like this, you look at it and you go, what am I gonna do? Just throw this away or just keep a broken knife? No. The answer is, I've got some brass rod here. These are just rivets. I'm gonna drill out this head on each one of these, pop this cover off, replace them with brass rivets, put it back together, in theory. That's my plan. I don't know how far I'm going to get with it, but yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Fix a knife. So I'll be right back. Well, as usual, things don't go as planned. These rivets, when I was using that Dremel tool in the back, I would have been better off with drill, but I didn't have a small enough drill. Anyways, this thing's all taken apart now. I was doing fine, wedging it up, getting it past there, and I cracked. I cracked this at the very last second. So I'm going to put some super glue on that and try to fix that. And then if I get it all together, it will be El Zorro when it's finished. And like I said, my brass, it was 2.5 millimeter. Really needs to be like about 2 millimeter for these. But I found some wire nails that fit right in. They're a little bit undersized, but I think it'll be alright. We'll see. As long as we don't get any play in the blade. Speaking of which, it only has... I'm going to try to fix this to where it's got a better... See how it's rounded? I'm going to flatten that off. Make it a true half stop. Alright, here's my thought process so far. First I was going to use these nails to secure. There's only 3 pins. But then I started thinking, even if I made it tight, yeah, there's not a whole lot of play. But anyways, I decided to make... I had this 2.5 millimeter brass rod, and I just chucked it in a drill. And I used a file and a stone on it and everything else. And finally, I've got it to where it'll fit in there. So I'm going to use that. I also filed this down on a bench grinder to make a half stop. So we got that. I'm going to use the nail on these other 2 pieces. This guy's cracked. I thought about using it as a template and making another one, but nothing. I don't have anything that's this clear. I'll have some yellowed a plastic box. Let me show you that. See, I thought about taking this, you know, cutting out a template, and then it would come out kind of yellowed. So Zorro, let's get him over here. Come here, Zorro. It would look kind of like that. Kind of yellow faded instead of this. You lose a lot of the color in it when you do that. So I think I'm going to stick with the clear. I'm just going to stick some super glue on this crack. It's not going to... Oops, sorry. I was in there trying to see it in my eyeball. It's not going to completely get rid of it, but it will strengthen it to keep that crack from continuing on. It's just a novelty thing. It's just something to learn about. Put it back together, take it apart, see if I could fix it, type of thing. This is a really, I was just feeling, it's a really thin blade. Not a lot of blade stock to it. Anyway, that's as far as I've gotten so far. El Zorro. Well, this has turned out to be quite a project. Getting this pin thinned down, I basically had to put it in a drill and go back and forth with it on a stone, and it's taken quite a while. Anyways, I've got enough of it sticking out now that I can hammer that back down and make that a pin, because the knife pivot is the most important one. It now has a half stop and it locks in place. Now it feels kind of gritty in here, but I mean anyways, if I can get all this back together, then it'll be alright. It'll be El Zorro. But yeah, it's taken a while. I didn't have anything else better to do. Well, at this point, I think I'm going to have to call this a failure. Everything was going fine until I decided to use those nails, and this is a rivet. But when I was using a nail, here it is, I cut it off and I was thinking, alright, I'm going to put it in a vise and squeeze either end of the nail and I'll just get this to flatten out. Well, no, it started curling, and when it started curling, it broke the plastic on the back of this again. So now I'm to the point where if I wanted to do it, I'd have to make each one of these out of brass, and man, this took forever. Or find a substitute that's soft like brass, or just go back to a rivet, or just give up and realize that it's just a $5 knife. And knife repair, oh yeah, here's the piece. See how it broke? Knife repair on an inexpensive knife like this is just more of a learning lesson than, I mean, I really did want to get it to work. I did add a half stop to it, which was kind of cool, but using these nails was not the right thing to do in this particular case. And then even if I did get all this done and mushed out the heads on this brass one here, that's cracked, you know, and then the fit and finish is really bad. This, I started gluing it and I forgot I had super glue on it, and I started sticking my fingers all to it. This is what all that, I was going to sand that down, but now this is obviously toast. So the whole thing is basically toast. Yeah, I could make a fixed blade knife out of it, you know, just slap it all together somehow, but there's your lock mechanism right there. That's what sits on there, is your little spring. Anyway, yeah, I'm going to consider this one a failure in putting it together, but I learned something from it, which is that if you got a little cheap knife like this, you know how long it took me to grind this down to fit these holes, because it was this thick. And if you put this in a drill and you think, oh yeah, you just hold a stone on there and go back and forth, yeah, it takes forever. And you don't always get it exactly straight. Sometimes it's taper. And then when I was messing with it, I actually wound up bending it so it wasn't grinding evenly, and yeah, it's just a hard way of doing it. So anyway, if you wanted something to do, try to put together one of these knives if it breaks on you. But the better thing would be either to get a replacement or throw it away. I have a hard time throwing anything away, so I'll keep the pieces here to remind me. So, thank you for watching, and I hope you have more success than I do.